Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, Nigerian tweets are back. The country's ban on Twitter ends after 7 months as the US blogging platform agrees to the government's terms. Some online businesses took a hit, but many users in the country did find a way around the suspension. Also, Burkina Faso clinches a narrow 1-0 victory over Cape Verde at the Africa Cup of Nations. The modest victory contrasts with Cameroon's 4-1 destruction of Ethiopia earlier in the day. The hosts are the first through to the knockouts. And penguins have lived in South Africa for millions of years, but they're in danger because of climate change. And we take a look at one clinic trying to look after those that are left. But first, Nigerians locked out of Twitter over a 7-month suspension have their voices back. The government banned the microblogging platform last June over the removal of a tweet by President Muhammadu Buhari that threatened Nigerian secessionists. Our Sam Olukoya tells us more.
Many Nigerians have cause to smile this morning when they woke up to find that they can now use Twitter after a 7-month suspension. Tweeting for the first time since the suspension, many Nigerians say it is good to be back on Twitter. Nigerians, especially the youths, love Twitter just the way they love football. For the youths who constitute the bulk of Nigeria's population, Twitter is the ideal platform to express their frustration about the Nigerian system. There are, of course, lots and lots of things to complain about on Twitter. These include insecurity, police brutality, corruption, and the poor state of infrastructures like roads, schools, and hospitals. Now Nigerians have found their voices again on Twitter. The government agrees that the Twitter suspension is partly a fallout of the criticism it was getting on the platform. The government said there were unrestrained use of Twitter by some elements to propagate fake news, saying some of the issues raised border on national security. By lifting the suspension, the government is hoping to see a bond against Twitter, whose platform will be free of harsh criticisms. But there is no guarantee that the numerous youths who use Twitter to vent their anger and frustration about government's failure will cease fire with the lifting of the suspension.
A police officer and a protester were killed in Thursday's clashes between protesters and security forces in Sudan. Crowds faced live ammunition and tear gas as thousands took to the streets to once again denounce a coup that sparked a political crisis. The military takeover in October has put the brakes on the country's transition to democratic rule. More than 60 people have been killed over the last 2 months as security forces crack down on marchers. And cases of COVID-19 on the continent have just passed 10 million. As stressed health systems across Africa struggle to cope, Africa's Centers for Disease Control says it's talking to Pfizer about bringing its COVID-19 antiviral pill to the region. But authorities are still trying to get vaccination rates up in the race against Omicron. 39 countries have so far reported the variant, and across Africa, cases are up by 11%. Guinea is seeing about 400 a day and is ramping up its own vaccination drive, as our correspondents tell us.
This is the largest treatment centre for COVID patients in Guinea. The centre of Bessia in the suburbs of Conakry has seen more patients than it can handle since the Omicron variant was detected at the end of December. Our cameras weren't allowed into treatment rooms where more than 200 patients are registered, but it's a record number for the establishment.
We noticed an increase in the number of cases in intensive care units. Before the surge in cases, we only had 2 patients. Today we're at 34.
Of the 8 deaths recorded by the centre since the arrival of the Omicron variant, all were non-vaccinated, according to official figures. Only 1 in 5 Guineans has received a vaccine. Authorities are stepping up their inoculation campaign. Children between 12 to 17 years old can now be immunised. In this large high school in the commune of Matam, a suburb of the capital, the Pfizer vaccine is available to students. Mahawa is 16 years old. She didn't hesitate.
I got vaccinated because I'm afraid of COVID-19 and the virus is spreading.
The operation seems to be a success.
There's enthusiasm, it's going forward. Thank God the students are coming to get vaccinated, so it's going well.
Wearing a mask is mandatory everywhere. A vaccination pass is required to enter public buildings. Authorities have recently tightened up preventative measures, yet they're not always respected. Professor Traore, who coordinates the response to the pandemic, wants more widespread cooperation.
The population should adhere to vaccination. Vaccination will allow for collective immunity, and when collective immunity is present, the response will be the containment of the disease.
Guinea hopes that 70% of the population will be vaccinated over the coming months.
Well, Burkina Faso has clinched a 1-0 win over Cape Verde on Thursday night, taking them closer to claiming a spot at the Africa Cup of Nations last 16. Before that, Cameroon thrashed Ethiopia 4-1 in Yaoundé. The Lions fans are ecstatic that, as hosts of the tournament, their team's the first to qualify for the knockout stage.
It was a great match, and we're very happy with the players' performance.
I'm so happy to be Cameroonian. Go Lions!
Ethiopians, though, are gutted. They're still looking for their first win since 1976. Thursday's match did get off to a promising start, but quickly went downhill.
I feel like we played well. In football, there's both winning and losing. I'm happy with the performance of the Ethiopian national team. We're the ones who scored first, and even after the performance was good, we're happy with the game.
Well, this is not the results that we were expecting, but we were super excited about the first goal and the way the tactics they were playing, but at some point it was very disappointing. It was really bad game that we watched.
I'm very happy. Given the current politics and situation, these people in this event help us strengthen the unity for our country because we love Ethiopia very much.
Well, Simon Harding's been following the games for us. Simon, that was a pretty decisive performance by Cameroon, and they must be pretty chuffed to have made it to that really important landmark.
Absolutely, a fantastic game by Cameroon, first team to qualify, as you mentioned. But it was a funny old game, Georgia, because you could look at it from 2 points of view. As we heard Ethiopian fans say, they're probably gutted that they didn't get more out of the game. They scored first, they had another opportunity to go 2-1 up, and they should have scored late on in the match when they were trailing. If you're a Cameroon fan, then you're very happy that you won 4-1, but Cameroon hit the post twice. They could have scored more goals, and you really get the feeling that they're starting to hit their stride in the tournament. As we heard from the fans earlier on, reaching the knockout stages of this Africa Cup of Nations on home soil is, of course, the bare minimum. Everyone that we've spoken to here pretty much wants and expects Cameroon to bring home the title. Are they going to be able to do that? We're not sure, of course. Cameroon still have a lot of question marks to answer, still are going to have to play better and against some of the bigger teams on the continent, but certainly it is a job done thanks to a brace by Carl Toko Ekambi and Captain Fantastic Vincent Abu Bakar. So a very important victory for Cameroon. It'll allow them to rotate their squad in their third game and give the opportunity perhaps to management to see if the players on the fringes of the starting 11 can compete a little bit more in the games to come once they reach the knockout stages. For Ethiopia, still not over. They're going to have to beat Burkina Faso in their last match if they wish to qualify, and they can still qualify, so Group A, which remains still very open.
And looking at the second game of Thursday, did Cape Verde make Burkina work for it?
Cape Verde made Burkina Faso work for it, but Burkina Faso probably should have won by a bigger margin. Bande with a goal in that one, and it is a just reward for Burkina Faso, who took Cameroon very close, only 2 penalties beating them. Bertrand Traore, after the game, one of the biggest players for the nation, said that they actually threw it away against the hosts in the opening match. So that gave an idea of the mentality Burkina Faso had coming into the match. It is true that their goalkeeper did deny the Cape Verde strikers, Julio Tavares, and I think the other Tavares as well in the team, plenty of opportunities. But it is a result that was coming, and Burkina Faso made the most out of it. They are going to be trying to play to reach the last 16, and a point in their final match should get them across the line.
Thanks very much, Simon Harding, there for us in Cameroon. And finally, penguins have lived in South Africa for millions of years, but the adorable coastal denizens are in danger. Their numbers have halved over the last 20 years because of climate change. We take a look now at a new clinic that's opened up to try and help look after the existing penguin population. Laurent Berstecker tells us more.
Basking in the South African sun, these adorable little birds are considered one of Cape Town's main tourist attractions. The Cape penguins have been in the area for millions of years, but their population has dropped by half in the past 2 decades. With only 50,000 left in the wild, scientists warn they could soon become extinct. Gavin Peterson works at a natural reserve set up to protect the species and blames human activity for this decline.
The climate change have a lot of influence on the colony, so the birds is now breeding, the chicks look smaller, big boats is overfishing, penguins got caught in lines and hooks and stuff. Everything is now letting the penguin totals drop. It means like we doing something wrong.
Weak and undernourished, these penguins also have few defenses against natural predators. In northern Cape Town, a special clinic recently opened to help treat and pamper the vulnerable birds. This one was brought in 3 weeks ago with a broken leg and is almost fully healed.
And what I'm doing today is I'm just checking that there's no infection, that the little wounds from the surgery are still healthy. But I'm really happy because it's healing well, and then when he gets released, that's the best.
After receiving treatment, the penguins are brought to the swimming pool in order to regain their strength. Once deemed healthy enough, they're taken to the beach and are released in their natural environment.
Well, that's it for Eye on Africa for now. Thanks for joining us, and do so again if you can. Till then, take care.
Like they say,